Test everything. Hold fast what is good. 1 Thessalonians 5:21. We're living through the great unraveling across our pews and podcasts, and generation is dismantling their faith, some to rebuild it stronger, others to walk away entirely. This episode isn't about condemning or celebrating deconstruction, but about understanding why it happens, when it's necessary, and when it becomes spiritual suicide. We'll examine case studies, explore healthy discernment, and confront the church's role in creating the crisis it now condemns. All right, so the anatomy of deconstruction. So there are 5 main catalysts, and the data's from the Barnes Group Faith in Flux study. 1. The trauma trigger. When spiritual abuse masquerades as discipleship. Case study, the pastor's kid who heard God hates divorce while watching their parents get abandoned by church leadership. 2. The intellectual crisis, when unanswered questions accumulate like unpaid debts. An example, the youth group graduate who discovers biblical scholarship wasn't invented in 1995. 3. The ethical revolt, when the church's actions contradicts its teachings. 2023 study shows 68% of deconstructors cite hypocrisy around politics and race as primary factors. Number 4, the loneliness factor. When community exists for ministry but not for suffering. Pew Research, 43% of deconstructors report having no meaningful church relationships prior to leaving. And number 5, the exhaustion point. When performative faith burns people out. I didn't stop believing in God, I just couldn't keep pretending to be fine. Actual exit interview. The church's 3 fatal responses. 1. The heretic hunt. Labeling all questioning as rebellion. Historical precedent. How Lutherans' legitimate concerns birthed the Reformation. The celebrity deconstructor industrial complex, turning doubt into content for profit. Analysis of 3 ex-pastors who monetized their deconstruction via Patreon. And third, the sentimentality swap. Replacing theology with just love Jesus platitudes. Why this fails? You can't sustain faith on emotional vapor. So what about healthy versus destructive deconstruction? Well, 1, the biblical precedents. Good. The Bereans testing teachings against Scripture, Acts 17:11. The bad, the Israelites reconstructing a golden calf, Exodus 32. 2, diagnostic questions. 1, am I deconstructing toward Christ or away from accountability? 2, am I surrounded by voices that only affirm my doubts? 3, have I replaced biblical community with digital echo chambers? And finally, the reconstruction mandate. You cannot live in perpetual demolition. Case studies, C.S. Lewis' journey from atheism to mere Christianity. So the way forward. Okay, so 1, those deconstructing. Do keep a what will I still know list. And don't mistake deconstruction platforms for pastoral care. 2, the church leaders, or 4 church leaders, should I say, do create safe spaces for questions. And don't weaponize Psalm 14:1 against doubters. And for the observers, remember, Job's friends were helpful until they opened their mouths. All right, we're going to go to some audience questions and answers today. I have about, 5 questions that I'm going to be answering. So question 1 is, how do I deconstruct toxic teachings without throwing out my faith? Well, treat it like a home renovation. Identify load-bearing walls before swinging the sledgehammer. Core doctrines, Christ's divinity and resurrection are your foundation. Questioning how we do church isn't the same as denying who Christ is. So question 2, my pastor says deconstruction is demonic. What now? Gently ask which Bible verse condemns critical thinking. Even Jesus asks, why have you forsaken me? If the crucifixion included lament, your faith can withstand questions. Question 3, all the deconstruction stories online seem to end in atheism. Is that inevitable? Well, survivorship bias at work. Those who construct quietly don't get viral attention. For every high-profile evangelical, there are dozens who rebuilt a more resilient faith. Question 4. How do I help a deconstructing friend without pushing them further away? Stop talking. Start listening. Make them soup. Most deconstructors need love more than answers. And finally, question 5. What's the role of art and music in deconstruction? Well, my band, Autopsy of the King, exists precisely for this. To scream the psalms of doubt through deathcore. Sometimes truth needs vessels when old ones crack. All right, it's that time for closing scripture. He will not break a bruised reed, and he will not put out a smoldering wick. Isaiah 42:3. So next week, when prayer becomes toxic, until then, hold fast to what's good, but don't fear examining what might just be tradition. As always, support me on Patreon and buymeacoffee.com. Support this work, and the podcast will continue to exist.